Chapter 875. Bari's mind blanked out upon hearing those words, after which he began to tremble over. The president had just apologized to Wilbur. Rogan was the most powerful man in the nation who had just taken out his biggest political enemy, Lars Harriet, and retaliated against the Western forces. And here he was, apologizing to this guy. Just who could this guy be? Just then, Caper bowed shakily to Wilbur as well. I didn't know you were a part of Everest Foreign Trade, Mr. Penn. I'm so sorry, please forgive me. Caper had never expected a foreign trade company to have such relations with the president. Upon finding out that Wilbur had single-handedly been the one to get rid of Lars, Caper had nearly passed out. This man was terrifying, and he had gotten on the wrong side of him. What was Caper going to do? He had just gotten into this important position and promptly landed himself in trouble. Caper knew then that he was doomed. He was going to say goodbye to being head of department, or any official position at all. In fact, he would be lucky to even get out alive. Yet Wilbur instead retorted Caper's words by saying, "So you're implying that you would have done this if I wasn't involved with Everest Foreign Trade?" Wilbur's words left Caper speechless and unable to reply. Caper knew he had gravely misspoken, but it was too late for him to explain himself. Rogan spoke up then. Caper, I nominated you for the position of head of safety seeing as you were from my tribe and full of passion. Is this how you repay me? I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. Please forgive me, Mr. Penn, Mr. President. I'll resign right now. Please have mercy. Caper fell to his knees, breaking into a loud sob. Rogan shook his head, glancing at Osborne before saying, "Do you really think you're going to be forgiven after doing something like that? This is a complete disgrace." Caper trembled all over. Osborne raised one hand, and a gray light shone over Caper's body. His face began to age at an alarming rate. It was not long before he keeled over in the form of a dried corpse. Bari saw this and trembled all over. He collapsed onto his knees, shaking with all his might. "You're even worse. Playing dead and trying to save your ass," Rogan shouted, making Bari burst into loud sobs. "It's my fault, Mr. Penn. Caper made me do it. I never wanted to come here in the first place." Bari hung on to this one last shred of hope, begging for his life. Rogan, however, was not to be messed with. He had joined forces with Wilbur to take Lars down, leaning toward Dasha for support toward the brave act to retaliate against the Western forces in an attempt to break free of them. That was a move that required a great deal of wisdom and courage. He would not be able to make it as president otherwise. Bari's tricks were useless to Rogan. Osborne got to work at just a single glance, and Bari died in terror. Rogan's guards came in the very next second to drag the bodies out. He then turned to apologize to Wilbur once again. "It's my fault that has happened, Mr. Penn. I failed to elect good subordinates, and I hope you'll forgive me so we can continue working together." "Of course we can, but if this happens again, I can't guarantee that the Dasha embassy will maintain our alliance," said Wilbur calmly. Rogan frowned. He had completely offended the Western forces now and would be fighting on his own if he were to lose Dasha's support. He would only end up being swallowed whole by the Western forces. Osborne had also told Rogan before that judging from how powerful Wilbur was, he was definitely someone of importance in Dasha as well. There was no way Dasha would leave someone so powerful alone. Wilbur was sure to have another identity or a position of high power over there. Thus, Rogan could not afford to mess with Wilbur. That was one of the reasons that led him to kill Caper and Bari. "I can guarantee that no one will try to give you or Everest Foreign Trade any trouble. But I can guarantee to sort out those messes personally if it should happen in the future. Anyone who tries anything will end up like Caper and Bari," Rogan promised solemnly.